The atmosphere around Chicago feels different heading into this matchup, and it is not just because of the rivalry itself. There's a sense that this game carries weight beyond a single result, especially when you look at how the division is shaping up and how certain coaching decisions could ripple through the NFC North. Facing Green Bay always magnifies everything, from individual performances to long-term questions about direction, identity, and stability. The Bears are walking into this moment knowing that a strong showing does more than add a win to the record. It sends a message inside the division. One of the biggest conversations floating around the league right now involves defensive minds potentially on the move, and that matters a lot for Chicago. Coordinators who consistently cause problems for opposing quarterbacks do not stay in one place forever, especially when their contracts are coming to an end. There's a real possibility that the division could lose one or even two high-level defensive architects. And from a Bears perspective, that is not a bad thing at all. Preparing weekly for aggressive, unpredictable defenses is exhausting, and removing those chess masters from the equation changes the balance of power. Even if some of them do not land head coaching roles immediately, fresh scenery and bigger paychecks elsewhere are always tempting, and teams around the league know how valuable elite defensive scheming really is. On the other sideline, the discussion around coaching security has also picked up, but feels far more stable. It would be genuinely surprising to see major upheaval in Green Bay based on one game, even a rivalry game. Still, rivalry matchups have a way of accelerating narratives. If Chicago were to dominate in convincing fashion, it would add fuel to conversations that already exist quietly in league circles. Contracts, expectations, and long-term visions all intersect at moments like this, even if nothing changes immediately afterward. When it comes to the game itself, turnovers loom large. This Bears team is built in a way where taking the football away can completely swing momentum. There are players on this defense who have shown a consistent knack for being around the ball, especially in critical moments. Safeties who read the quarterback well and linebackers who understand route combinations can turn a single mistake into a game-changing play. Even when opposing quarterbacks clean up their decision-making, there is usually at least one opportunity that presents itself. The key is capitalizing when that moment arrives, because against teams like Green Bay, wasted chances tend to come back to haunt you. The Bears know that forcing mistakes is only one part of the equation. Sustaining drives on offense has become just as important, if not more so. Recent games have shown how quickly the defense can wear down when time of possession tilts heavily the wrong way. Long, methodical drives keep everyone fresh and allow the coaching staff to stay flexible with play calling. Whether the production comes through the air or on the ground, the offense has to find rhythm early instead of playing catch-up. Falling behind and relying on late rallies is not a recipe that consistently works, especially against disciplined opponents. There's also a lot of attention on how the wide receiver rotation might look. Injuries and snap management will play a role, but there is optimism that key contributors will be available, even if their workloads are managed carefully. The coaching staff has shown a willingness to stagger snaps and reward players who continue to prove themselves, which keeps competition healthy within the room. Younger receivers earning trust can change how defenses line up, and that ripple effect can open space for others. These decisions are not just about one game, but about evaluating who fits into the long-term picture. Looking beyond this week, roster construction questions are already creeping into the conversation. Cap flexibility, positional value, and overall consistency all factor into difficult decisions that may come sooner rather than later. Some veteran players remain valuable contributors, but production relative to contract size is always scrutinized in today's league. When younger options show flashes and the team has clear needs on the defensive side of the ball, tough choices become unavoidable. It is not always about dissatisfaction with a player. Sometimes it is simply about reallocating resources to areas that demand immediate attention. Defensively, the front office will have to decide where upgrades matter most along the line. Edge rushers naturally draw attention because of their impact on passing downs, but interior pressure can be just as disruptive when it collapses pockets quickly. The real question is not position, but availability. If an elite player becomes attainable, the Bears have to be ready to act regardless of whether he lines up outside or inside. Depth, durability, and the ability to affect games consistently all matter more than labels. In the secondary, evaluations are ongoing as well. Some players have been steady presences throughout the season, stepping up when injuries force them into larger roles. Others have experienced ups and downs that make future decisions complicated. Turnovers may fluctuate from week to week, but reliability, health, and fit within the scheme often determine who stays and who moves on. The Bears will have to balance appreciation for what certain players have provided with realism about where improvements are still needed. As this rivalry game approaches, confidence among fans feels cautious but real. There is belief that if Chicago starts fast and plays a cleaner first half, the path to victory becomes much clearer. If not, the margin for error shrinks and the contest turns into a grind where every possession matters. The Bears have shown they can rally, but relying on late heroics is always dangerous. How they handle the opening stages of this matchup may ultimately define not just the outcome, but the tone for what comes next in a season that still holds plenty of unanswered questions. As the focus stays on the present, it is impossible to ignore how much this stretch of games is shaping internal evaluations across the roster. Every snap feels like part of a larger audition, especially for players whose futures are not fully settled. Coaches are watching closely to see who rises when the pressure increases and who struggles when opponents start attacking weaknesses more aggressively. These rivalry games have a way of exposing truths, and the Bears know that what shows up on tape now will matter long after this week is over. One area that continues to draw scrutiny is how the defense handles explosive receivers. Speed on the outside has caused problems, not because of effort, but because of technique and confidence. Press coverage only works when corners commit to being physical at the line, disrupting timing and forcing receivers off their preferred paths. When that does not happen, faster wideouts gain immediate leverage, and the defense is put in recovery mode from the first step. Confidence plays a huge role here, and when a corner starts hesitating, offenses sense it and attack relentlessly until something changes. That hesitation has shown up at times, even from players who have proven they can play at a high level. There have been flashes of the instincts and anticipation that made them stand out, followed by stretches where everything looks just a half step slow. Getting back to fundamentals becomes critical in moments like this. Reading the quarterback, trusting leverage, and playing through the hands at the catch point can quickly swing momentum back in the defense's favor. One well-timed pass breakup or deflection can reset confidence in a way that stats never fully capture. Up front, the Bears are still searching for consistent disruption. Pressure does not always have to result in sacks to be effective, but it does need to arrive quickly and repeatedly. Quarterbacks who feel comfortable in the pocket will eventually find mismatches, especially against zone looks designed to bait mistakes. The challenge is creating chaos without sacrificing gap integrity against the run. Balance up front allows the secondary to play more aggressively, knowing the quarterback cannot wait forever for routes to develop. Offensively, the conversation keeps circling back to identity. When the Bears are at their best, they control tempo and force defenses to respect multiple threats. That balance makes play action more effective and keeps pass rushers from teeing off on obvious downs. When drives stall early, everything tightens. Play calling becomes more predictable, and opposing defenses start dictating terms. Sustaining drives is not just about points, it is about keeping the entire team in rhythm. The quarterback position remains central to all of this. There have been moments of brilliance mixed with stretches where execution falls just short. Growth at that position is rarely linear, especially in an offense still finding its footing. What matters most right now is decision-making under pressure and the ability to capitalize when defenses make mistakes. Opportunities will come, sometimes only once or twice a game, and turning those into points can completely change how opponents approach the rest of the contest. Wide receivers play a major role in that process, not only by winning routes, but by being exactly where they are supposed to be. Timing routes demand trust on both sides, and that trust is built through repetition and consistency. Younger players stepping into larger roles have shown encouraging signs, especially when given chances to make plays after the catch. That development could influence offseason decisions more than any single stat line, because it speaks to sustainability and upside. Looking ahead, the front office faces a delicate balancing act. Clearing space, adding draft capital, and targeting defensive upgrades all sound straightforward in theory. But execution is where things get complicated. Letting productive players walk is never easy, especially when they have contributed through difficult stretches. Still, building a contender requires hard choices, and sometimes the smartest move is investing resources where impact can be maximized most quickly. The defensive line remains a prime candidate for that kind of investment. Whether through free agency or the draft, adding a player who commands attention on every snap can elevate everyone around him. Offensive coordinators change game plans when they know one individual can wreck timing by himself. That ripple effect is what the Bears are chasing, and it could come from the edge or straight up the middle, depending on who becomes available. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Chicago Bears. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers around the league gained volume after a brief but loaded comment attributed to Lamar Jackson began circulating among insiders. The quarterback, never one to speak at length about contract politics, reportedly summed up a major career crossroads with a blunt explanation. "That's why I didn't go to the Bears." According to people close to the situation, the reason was simple and uncomfortable. The money on the table didn't match the vision being sold. The rumor suggests that Chicago's interest was real and persistent, framed around tradition, market size, and the promise of building something new. Yet behind the scenes, the financial proposal was viewed as conservative, even cautious, in a market where elite quarterbacks continue to redefine compensation. Jackson, who has long emphasized respect and leverage as much as wins and losses, allegedly saw the offer as a signal rather than a negotiation. To him, it wasn't just about dollars, but about perceived value. Those familiar with the talks say the Bears' structure leaned heavily on incentives and protections, a model that may work for developing talent, but rarely satisfies a player who believes he has already proven his worth. Jackson's camp, according to the speculation, interpreted the approach as a mismatch in philosophy. While the franchise preached patience and flexibility, the quarterback sought commitment and clarity. The comment has fueled debate across front offices and locker rooms alike. Some executives quietly defend Chicago's stance, arguing fiscal discipline is essential in a league built on parity. Others see a missed opportunity, noting that hesitation at the negotiating table can echo for years on the field. For Jackson, the rumored remark paints the picture of a player keenly aware of his market and unwilling to compromise on self-assessment. Whether the quote was meant as frustration, honesty, or a warning to future suitors remains unclear. What is clear is that in today's NFL, money speaks loudly, and silence at the wrong moment can send a star elsewhere. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Chicago Bears, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.